Aloha. Yeah, thank you. We're in the land of aloha. Different ways to understand that word, but one of the ways to understand it is ha, is the breath. Ha is that divine essence, that breath that we share, alo. So we are sharing one spirit, one breath when we say aloha. It doesn't just mean hello or goodbye. In fact, as my friend Kumu Ramsey says, if you mean hello or goodbye, say hello or goodbye. That's what he says. Aloha means we share the same divine breath. We share the same divine essence. We are in this together. But isn't that countercultural? Isn't that different from what our world typically shares about separation and division and gloom? So today I'm talking about through the gloom with love. That reading was about that. How do we cut through the gloom with love? Now, some people are fasting from the news during Lent. I prefer to watch the news and to pray with it and embrace the pain of the world, not to try to escape it. But how do we cut through it with love? How do we see the suffering that's in our world, that's with our neighbor, or in our own lives, and treat it with love and cut through it with love, with aloha? You know, it was prophesied about Hawaii that we would teach the world, how to live in aloha, how to live in love, how to cut through the separation and the division. It was prophesied that we have a special mission here on Hawaii to share that with the world. So when we're talking about Aloha Sunday, I remember one time being at a church where we had an Aloha Sunday, a time for us to focus on aloha, a time to focus on love, a time to focus on unity, a time to focus on healing. But because we were going into the pandemic, this particular person was outraged that we would have an aloha service. They said, I refuse to listen, because you're not taking seriously the problems that we are dealing with. I'm like, what? Do you know what aloha means? Aloha is the way we face difficulties. It is the way we face division and problems. We don't just lay back and go, oh, I'm suffering so much. Don't give me any aloha. That is not our message, in case you didn't know. But how do we cut through it? How do we cut through the gloom? We honor and acknowledge and embrace the suffering that is happening in our world, in our own lives, and the people around us. We acknowledge that. And yet, we have something that is a higher way that cuts through it. So, how do we cut through it? Well, first of all, we heard from that reading from Paramahansa Yogananda. We cut through it with our smiles, and not a fake smile. Have you seen a fake smile? Yes. How are you doing? Fine. Not with a fake smile, but a smile that comes from our heart. That first, our heart is smiling. I've been talking about heart coherence. I've been talking about breathing in and through our heart space, coming into coherence with our world, coming into coherence with ourselves, coming into coherence with one another. That means unity, oneness. It doesn't mean uniformity. We have our own beliefs. We have our own experiences. We're not all alike. but we can all be in coherence and in unity. So when we come into coherence, we can smile, and it's coming from our heart. It comes through our eyes. It comes through our face. And I remember, don't you, when people were all wearing masks? I mean, everybody, pretty much. Some people are still wearing masks, and that's fine. But I remember being in Marin County, north of San Francisco, and for whatever reason, okay, I've learned to read lips, and reading lips helps to augment my hearing. So it helps me to see what people are saying. Masks. Think about it. I wasn't able to see what people were saying. So I go into the bank, and I'm talking to them. I tell them, I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry. I can't see your mouth. And I didn't mean that I wanted them to lower the mask, but they had the plastic thing up there, and you have a little space down under here, and I'm like, I can't hear you, and I'm not. And in many ways, people still have masks on. In many ways, we still have these protecting films up where we don't sometimes want people to get too close. Our smiles, the smiles from our coherence, our smiles from our love, our smiles from our aloha, cuts through that. Cuts through that film, that barrier, that firewall. On computers, you have firewalls that prevent viruses from coming in. A lot of us have these firewalls to protect us. And they protect us so much that they imprison us. Aloha is about cutting through that. And so that shows in our smiles. Yesterday, I was at another interfaith event. We had an interfaith event for the island of Oahu. And there were a number of people from different faith traditions. Like One Family used to be called Unification Church, or Zoroastrians. How many of you here know a Zoroastrian? You do? Wow. That's awesome. Because there's only about 130,000 of them on the planet. We had these different faith traditions represented, and we talked, and I was one of those who spoke also. And you could see this smile that was occurring because people were in coherence. We were seeing who we really are. And when I see who someone really is, I smile. Not because you're funny, but because I see the divine that you are. When we see who we each are and see the real self, then it brings up that coherence. It brings up that love. It brings up that aloha. Have you ever had someone that you maybe didn't feel very inclined to be around? Like, you had this sense about them, like, I'm not sure I like them, or I'm not sure they look this or that to me, or you have this kind of filter, a judgment, a firewall. And I've had the opportunity of experiencing that and then really getting to know them and becoming really close friends with them and realizing how wrong I was. Aloha, that coherence can break through those judgmental firewalls. So we cut through it with that smile, that coherence of aloha, and with love. Love is the power of this month, the February. The color is like pink, or some of us wear red, but it is the power that unifies and cuts through all of that separation. It is the power of unity. It cuts through that. Some people have sometimes told me I'm taking a deep breath here. You can too. Some people have sometimes told me when I have asked them if they would like to engage in some form of sacred service here or in the wider community, sometimes people have told me I can't. I'm too busy with my job. I never get out of my house. I'm too old. I don't have enough of this. I don't have enough of that. I have too much of this. All kinds of reasons why they say they can't do sacred service. I find that curious. Hi, Mom. My mom is 98 years old. Yay! She doesn't get out of the house a whole lot. You know, we would take her to appointments or things like that. But she prays for every single one of you every day. Don't tell me you can't do sacred service where you are. I don't buy it. I'll let you have your excuse, but I don't buy it. Every one of us in some way can share love in our world. Every one of us in some way can share aloha. Just being who you are, if you really allow yourself to be that divine self, cuts through it. Your love is the answer. And whatever you do, whoever you are, wherever you are, you can do sacred service. You can bring love to this world just by being the divine self that you are. I recognized yesterday when we were each sharing about our faith positions that I was the only one that said that we are all divine. Now, maybe others, if pressed, might say, oh yeah, we believe that too. I don't know. But I told them that's one of our major tenets, that we believe there's only one power and one presence, and that is God. And if there's only one power and one presence, guess what? There's no spot where God is not. Guess what? That means God shows up as you. There's no exceptions. Even those stinkers in your life are the presence of God. They are. And if we can see that, then we can really come with that aloha, with that love. I want to share with you about someone I've just gotten to know, and she's watching. Hi, Nancy. Nancy Crane lives on the East Coast in Orlando area and is with us every Sunday. Nancy used to be here. Let me share, and I have her permission. I asked her if I could tell this because we're very interested in transformation here. Our mission statement is centered in God. We transform lives and inspire people to make a positive difference in our world. So it's important to me to hear transformation stories, and I hear them all the time here. That's another thing I noticed yesterday. I didn't hear ministers talking about how people are transformed in their ministries. I certainly pray and believe that they are, but that is our central mission here, is transformation. So, Nancy had been given a diagnosis. Nancy had basically been told that there was no cure for this diagnosis. And she was told that she would be, as I recall, an invalid. There's nothing she could do about it. She researched it, found that no one had ever beaten that particular disease or illness. She was very concerned. She came to this church. She came to Unity Church of Hawaii. And the minister was talking. And she had not talked with the minister about this. And the minister said, I had a counseling session recently with a person who was given this very, very bad diagnosis and was at the point of ending their life, and their name is Nancy. And that spoke to Nancy because that's where she was at in her life. She was thinking about ending her life because of what was going on with her physically. So she was filled with fear. She was filled with dread about the circumstances. She was lost in the gloom. Have you ever been lost in the gloom where you couldn't even see your way out? And here's the minister here talking about this person named Nancy going through this huge physical challenge. And Nancy's like, oh my gosh, this is God speaking to me. She came to meet with the minister and talk with the minister. Told the minister what was going on in her life and said, no one's ever beat this. The minister said, why don't you be the first? Wow. I mean, that's like, what? We have power to do stuff like that? Now, that was years and years ago. Nancy's life was transformed by being here, by using our principles, by working with it. Nancy went on to become a licensed Unity teacher. Nancy ended up being one of those who would conduct Japanese weddings here when there were lots and lots of Japanese weddings. She said it was like a full-time job. She said on one day she did 17 weddings. That's a lot of weddings. Sandra, I don't know if you ever did 17, have you? That's a lot of weddings in one day. Wow. And then she moved, been living on the East Coast. But Nancy considers this her church and is transferring her membership here and is supporting us. We want to thank you, Nancy. And thank you all of those online or those here in person who are helping to support this ministry in prayer, in your sacred service, in helping to support this ministry, and engaging in our classes and in spirit groups that will start soon. And we will be starting something soon called the Evolutionary Council. Thomas and Reverend Margie will be leading what is called the Evolutionary Council. The Evolutionary Council is a group that is forming to hear your transformation stories. We want to know how your life has changed as a result of being here, as a result of Unity teachings and practices. We want to know, are we fulfilling our mission to transform lives? So we want to talk with you. We want each one of us, whether you're a member or not, whether you're online or here physically, although as many as possible, we'd like to do it in person. But we want to know, how has your life changed? How has your life been transformed? I hear transformation stories all the time. But it concerns me that you all don't hear all the transformation stories and know how people's lives are being changed and transformed and saved from being here. I want you to know that what we are building here is a beloved community that is changing our world. There's not everything that you can donate to that changes the world. This is a good investment. I've been investing for a long time. Some investments weren't so good. Some had a good rate of return. How's this for a rate of return? Lives are transformed. People are inspired to make a positive difference in our world. We help to shift the whole consciousness of the world. That's something worth being a part of. Engaging by our membership, engaging by our sacred service, engaging by involvement in our classes, which are very transformative, where we connect with other people. This beloved community is worth it. We're not here to play games. We are here to help transform the world and inspire people to make a positive difference in our world. And that's what we do. You may sometimes get lost in the gloom and wonder, what can I do? What can I do about Gaza? What can I do about Ukraine? You know, you might donate to certain things, but do you know that there is one mind, one presence, and when you come into coherence, when you come into alignment with the presence of God, when you shine your light, do you know that has a ripple effect and affects all of human consciousness? We are all interconnected. We're affecting the field in which we live. We believe that. We know that. We've practiced this. We've seen it. We've seen things like in Washington, D.C., when people have gathered to meditate for a day and just hold coherence and peace, and the murder rate dropped. It affected the whole consciousness of Washington, D.C. This stuff works. Try it. One time, theologian G.K. Chesterton was asked, do you think that the time of Christianity and the teachings of Jesus have passed? He said, I don't know. It's never been tried yet. Practice these principles. See that they work. Test them. Take our classes. Quantum living classes. We'll have another quantum living class coming up, I believe. I'll also soon, we'll schedule it, I'm going to be starting a Bible study. There. Now, not at all Unity churches do people applaud when you announce there's going to be a Bible study. But I've had I love the Bible. I love teaching it. I love digging into it. And I study it, you know, from original languages. And anyway, so I'll be having a Bible study, and a number of people have been asking about that. They say, we hear the scriptures presented here in a way we've never heard them presented before. We'd like to learn more. That's awesome. Another thing, okay, we're going to be starting the spirit groups. When do those start? April. So in April, we're going to be having these groups of 8 or 9 people, and we'll be meeting together, and there will be different kinds of topics, different kinds of books. It's not a book study, but sometimes there's a book that people are studying from, and we connect together, we pray together. I'm going to be one of those spirit groups I'm going to be leading, which is called a We Space group, where we meditate together and actually feel the field of resonance, where we connect with each other. This is going to overload you maybe just a little bit. We can be in so much resonance with another that we can speak a word of knowledge for each other. That we can be there for each other in real beloved community, in real spiritual attunement and connection. There'll be numerous. Reverend Margie's going to lead one. Leslie Ellenson. And Cindy Hensley. Okay, maybe Marcia's senior major, she led one. And are you still looking for more? Looking for more leaders? If you're interested, please see Reverend Margie right here, the one waving your hands. Because this is all part of building our beloved community. Jesus called us the light of the world. He wasn't just making stuff up. He really saw it. He saw us as the light of the world. 1 John chapter 1, verse 7. If we walk in the light as God is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. He's talking about coherence. He's talking about being in that ongoing relationship, that oneness with God. We can live this in the world. We're not here just for our own spiritual narcissism. We're not here just to get our auras fluffed or to just feel better, although I'm thrilled when people tell me, you know, I didn't feel that great when I came to church, but I feel great now. Good. I love hearing that. But we are also here to make a positive difference in our world. And you can do it wherever you are, whoever you are. You have light in you. You are light. That is what we are here to do. And that is how we break through the gloom. With smiles, with love, and with aloha. Thank you. So I invite you to take a deep breath and breathe into that heart space. That place of coherence, that place of love, that place of aloha. We know there's only one power and one presence, and we breathe into that, and we breathe as that, knowing that we are the light of the world, that who we are, what we do, makes a difference in our world. We are here for a world that is spiritually and radically transforming, to have shared spiritual awakening. We bless this as we go into the silence. And so we bless this entire group. We bless those online. We bless our world, knowing we are in a state of coherence, a state of oneness, a state of peace. As we know and affirm, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.